Bonjour, welcome back to our channel. Today I'm in Versailles and we've got something super special for you. So, on y va! I'm in our usual cafe, boulangerie, where usually me and Sinan we come here. Today I'm alone because me and Sinan we have different schedules when it comes to work. He can't make it. Sorry guys. We're really early. It's not even 10 in the morning. The visit is at 10 in the morning and it's a weekday, and I'm extremely tired because I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I don't know why I couldn't sleep. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna start the day. I started the day and now it's like not even 10 o'clock and I'm exhausted. And I still have a full day, a very long day ahead of me. Today we'll be diving deeper into the world of cabinet making for the court of Versailles, and particularly for the King and Queen of France. And while there is no doubt there is a multitude of exquisite furniture pieces at Versailles, in this video we'll be focusing on one specific personage, Jean-Henri Riesener. He was Marie-Antoinette's favorite ébéniste. He was also, for a time, Louis XVI's official cabinet maker or ébéniste. We'll be visiting three major places at Versailles: the apartments of Mesdames, the King's private apartment, and the Queen's private chambers, or cabinet. If this is your first time here on our channel, do note that we've done separate visits to all of these three major parts of the chateau and went deep into their history. Links to those episodes will be in the pinned comment under this video. Our visit started with the apartments of Mesdames. These are the ground floor rooms of Louis XV's four unmarried daughters, Adélaïde, Victoire, Sophie, and Louise, who lived at Versailles for most of their lives. It was an immense privilege to visit them today, without anyone else but our little group of history and Versailles enthusiasts. Here, in Madame Victoire's antechamber, is presented a Riesener commode. It was not made for her. It came originally from the Salon des Nobles of the Comtesse d'Artois, wife of the future Charles X. Riesener was born on 4th of July 1734 in Gladbeck, near Essen in Westphalia, modern-day Germany. Riesener arrived in Paris around 1754. He entered the workshop of Jean-François Aubin, who was the cabinet maker to the king at the Arsenal. Before the royal family, his clients were private: La Duchesse de Brancas, an old client of Aubin's, le Duc de Praslin, le Duc de Rochefoucauld, le Duc de Biron, and also le Comte de Buffon, among others. Aubin died in 1763. His widow, Françoise Marguerite van der Kues, kept the workshop running. Riesener took over its direction, yet until he held his own mastership, he continued to stamp his furniture with Aubin's name, as custom required. 4 years later, he married Aubin's widow and became a master cabinet maker the following year in 1768. We are particularly lucky today to be able to see these spaces in a much darker setting. At moments like this, I feel transported to the past. It's as if at any moment one of the Mesdames could just walk out and wonder what the heck I am doing here and who let me in. After all, I'm only a curious simpleton and I have no blue noble blood running through my veins. These rooms were transformed under Louis Philippe in the 19th century. Their restoration to the Ancien Regime state was a long campaign, stalled for lack of funds in the 80s. The apartments reopened to the public in 2013, and Riesener's work furnished more than one room here. For example, this commode of Madame Adélaïde today stands in her cabinet intérieur, originally delivered to her on 18th of December 1776. It was among his first deliveries to the crown, made soon after his 1774 appointment. First sold during the Revolution, later entered to the Bistegui collection, and the Société des Amis de Versailles bought it back by private treaty in June 2018 for €3.5 million. The commode returned to its exact original place on 13th of September 2018. Riesener's style is recognizable: geometric marquetry, flowered baskets, gilt bronze drawn from antiquity, and an occasional habit of breaking a piece of straight lines with a curved trapezoid central panel. His wife died in 1776. She left him a son, Henri François Riesener, who eventually became a painter. Going up to the private apartment of the king, we arrived to a corner room facing both the marble and the royal courtyards. Here stands probably the most famous creation that Riesener laid his hands on, le Bureau du Roi. This cylinder desk was originally begun by Aubin in 1760 for Louis XV. However, Riesener was destined to complete it 9 years later. Initial construction started with a detailed wax model, built to scale. before the full-size desk was made. The desk hides a sophisticated mechanism. A single key turns a quarter circle to lower the curved lid and lock all the drawers at once, protecting the king's papers from prying eyes. Le Bureau du Roi became the nerve center of royal decision-making, used daily by Louis XV and then Louis XVI. After the fall of the monarchy, Le Bureau du Roi left Versailles. It was moved to the Tuileries, then to the Louvre, before finally returning here to the king's private cabinet at Versailles in 1957, reclaiming almost exactly the same position it held under Louis XV. Thankfully, the desk was spared from revolutionary sales and was kept in state collections, admired more as a masterpiece of French craftsmanship than as a royal symbol to be destroyed. Recent restoration campaigns have given Le Bureau du Roi back its original lustre, combining scientific analysis of the mechanisms and finishes with painstaking handwork. But back to Riesener. In 1774, he was appointed ébéniste ordinaire de Grand Meuble de la Couronne, succeeding Joubert. He became Marie-Antoinette's favorite cabinet maker. Between 1774 and 1784, he delivered around 700 pieces of furniture to the crown. As a privileged cabinet maker, housed and protected by the king, he worked outside several of the ordinary guild restrictions. The commode from Louis XVI's library was delivered in 1782 and is one of the rare pieces of Versailles furniture never to have left its original place. The library room itself was designed by the architect Anne-Jacques Gabriel, his last work at Versailles, and it was finished shortly before Louis XV's death in 1774. In 1778, Louis XVI placed a round mahogany table from St. Lucia here, attributed to the cabinet maker Kervel. 4 years before the Rieseners' commode joined it. It must be added that Riesener's prices were his undoing. By 1785, the Grand Meuble judged them unreasonable and turned to a cheaper rival, Guillaume Benmont. However, Marie-Antoinette kept commissioning him privately through the 1780s regardless, and we will get to her private chambers in a moment, so stick around. But before we left the apartment, we passed by one of the most exciting rooms at the moment, the private bedchamber of the king that finally has received the king's bed. It was reconstituted. The original bed was not by Riesener, but I absolutely had to include it in this episode. Louis XV had the room fitted out in 1738 next to his official ceremonial bedchamber. At Versailles, the king had 2 beds, each for a distinct purpose. The state bed in the official Chambre du Roi for the ceremonial lever and coucher, and this one for his actual private sleep. Louis XV died here on 10th of May, 1774. The bed itself was destroyed during the Revolution. Versailles rebuilt it from archival descriptions, in a project carried for more than 40 years. The carved gilt wood took several thousand hours, led by sculptor Charles Boulnois. The gilding itself was then carried out in the chateau's own workshops. The textile furnishings follow court custom, with heavier brocades and velvets, and then lighter, more neoclassical silks reflecting the shift from Louis XV to Louis XVI, while reproducing exactly the fabrics documented for October 6, 1789, the last day of the royal family at Versailles. Our final stop are the private chambers of the Queen Marie-Antoinette, which we had already visited and spoke about in detail. But today, we are here for Le Cabinet Doré, which occupies the former room of the Duc de Bourgogne, Louis XV's father. After the Duke, it served as a bath cabinet for Marie Lesinska. Then, Marie-Antoinette had it redecorated twice, in 1779 with a silk of flowers, arabesques, and gilt medallions, then in 1783 with carved and gilded woodwork in the new antique style, with sphinxes and tripods, which gave the room its current name. The gilded woodwork is by the Rousseau brothers. The seating, upholstered in green velvet with gold braid, is by Georges Jacob. Riesener's furniture fills much of the room, delivered through the early 1780s, including la commode from Marie-Antoinette's bedroom at the Château de Marly. Across from it is the Bureau or Table en Bureau. This was built by Riesener in 1783, featuring tapered octagonal legs and gilt bronze bas-relief on all 4 faces, showing musician cupids among the clouds. It was made to furnish Le Hameau de la Reine at Trianon. It disappeared during the Revolution. The state bought it back for 6.75 million euros, funded through the patronage of LVMH and Sanofi Aventis. It was placed here for conservation reasons, rather than Le Hameau, which by the way was recently refurnished and we've done a fabulous episode showing you everything that's been done there. The link is in the pinned comment if you haven't seen it yet. As we wrap up our visit, one may wonder, how did such illustrious career end for Jean-Henri Riesener? Well, the revolution ended his court career and very nearly ended him. In 1794, the revolutionary authorities sent him back to Versailles to strip the royal ciphers and fleurs-de-lis from the furniture he himself had made for the king. He replaced them with plain panels. At the revolutionary sales, he bought back his own furniture at derisory prices, hoping to resell it later. His old clientele was by then either dead or scattered, and general taste had moved on. On January 6, 1806, Riesener died in Paris. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and yeah, let us know in the comments what you think. Until then, au revoir.